Shalom everybody, we're starting the canting of the Omer for tonight. Baruch atah Yahuwah Eloheinu melech haolam, atsher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al safirat haomer hayom yom chamesh ezreh. Blessed are you, Yahuwah Elohah, King of the universe, who's commanded us to cant the Omer on this day, day 15.
Shalom, beloveds of the King. Praise Abba Yahuwah for this wonderful Shabbat that we have had, and what an awesome day. And as we continue with our Jeremiah, really having to understand the heart of the Father, because truly, what are the prophets trying to reveal? The prophets are wanting to reveal the heart of the Father. It's not their own understanding, it's not what the prophets are understanding, but it's what the Father is saying, because you see how many times Jeremiah goes into that place of when he wants to pray and when he wants to say, and then the Father says, but this is what I say. And so tonight it is a powerful message, and Father wants to be able to really speak to us through this message today. So we read chapter 17. The sin of Yehudah is written with a pen of iron, engraved with the point of a diamond, on the tablet of their heart, and on the horns of your slaughter places. So imagine, the sin of Yehudah is so engraved that it's engraved, it hasn't just gone away. While their children remember their slaughter places and their asherim by the spreading trees on the high hills. My mountain in the field I give as plunder, your wealth, all your treasures, your high places of sin throughout all your borders. And so we must understand that Father doesn't take lightly to what is going on in the nations of the world at the moment, where they go into all these high places and they do all these sacrifices to all these ancestral gods and all this dedication of children and everything that is being done on these high places. And Father looks at all of this, and you must understand, those little children that are being sacrificed on these high places, the animals that are being sacrificed on the high places, Father sees the blood and Father hears the cry. And you even of yourself shall let go of your inheritance which I gave you, and I shall make you serve your enemies in a land which you have not known. For you have kindled a fire in my displeasure which burns forever. Now imagine, these are his chosen people. These are those that are called by his name. These are those that have a covenant with him. Yet he's saying, you are going to go into captivity, and these people will become your new masters, and you are going to go into slavery, and you are no longer going to be my inheritance. So you will have to let go of the inheritance that you have. You'll have to let go of everything and go to that place which I am telling you to go to. So you know what? In the days ahead, we do not know what is coming. There are many of us that have received inheritances and received all of this, and we've got lands and we've got everything. But if the Father tells you tomorrow, pack your bag, it's time to go, you have to understand to let go of everything and go as He tells you to go. Thus said Yahuwah, cursed is the man who trusts in man and makes flesh his arm, and whose heart turns away from Yahuwah. So you see, we must understand. Today we heard about El Shaddai. He's El Shaddai. He is the all-sufficient one. He is the one who is going to be our provider, our protector. He is the all-sufficient one in whatever it is that we need. And when He tells us to take a step of faith, then He doesn't tell us to have plan B and plan C. There's plan A and there's only plan A, and plan A is do it my way, not your way. And my way means trust me in how I want it to be done. So He's saying, cursed is the man. So imagine, the more we put our trust in our flesh, the more we put our trust in our own agenda, in our own ways of doing things, the more cursed we are going to be if He is trying to lead us in a way and we stand up against His process and we don't want the process because we're still trying to trust in our own way. Then we do not understand why the time ahead, the things that keep happening in our lives, because He's trying to teach us, He's trying to test us that we are to trust Him as the only provider, as the only source. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. He will lead you along the path. You might not have everything. You might not have everything you want. But I tell you now, having Him is more than having anything else. So He says, verse 6, for he shall be like a shrub in the desert, and not see when good comes, and shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, a salt land that is not inhabited. So you see, all that comes from the fact that we put our trust and our faith in our own flesh is we live in this desert place. And we cannot see the good that comes, because when the Father is trying to bless, you cannot see the blessing, because all you see is what He's not doing. You don't see what He is doing. You can only see what He's not doing. And then your whole focus is on what He's not doing here, what He's not doing there. But you cannot see the good that He brings in where He is providing in so many different ways. But when our minds are bound by the frustration of what we see around us, we cannot see past that. And so therefore, we cannot see the blessing when it comes. And so he says, but blessed is the man who trusts in Yahuwah and whose trust is in Yahuwah. So you see, who is a true blessed man? A true blessed man or a true blessed woman is one who has surrendered all and put their trust and their faith in the Father, said, okay, here we go. I put my trust and my faith in you. I don't know what's going to come out of this. I have no idea. I'm going to surrender now, because surrendering is what He's bringing us to. He's bringing us to that place to say, have you done it your way long enough? Have you done it your way long enough? And your way hasn't worked. So now it's time you do it my way. It's time you trust me. That is when the true blessing starts to come. Blessed is the man who trusts in Yahuwah and whose trust is in Yahuwah. Because when you get to the place of saying, okay, Father, I take you at your word, I take you for what you say, that is when He sees that you truly trust Him. So it doesn't help you to turn around and say, oh, you know what, I trust you, but I'm not willing to take the step of faith. I'm not willing to do that. Because that means I still put my trust in my faith in my own arm of the flesh. For he shall be like a tree planted by the waters, which spread out its roots by the river, and does not see when heat comes. And his leaf shall be green. In the year of drought he is not anxious, nor does he cease from yielding fruit. So you see, this is the difference. When you finally come to a place of when you totally surrender to the Father, when you finally come to the place of when you say, well, you know what? I don't know how to do this anymore. Father, you're going to have your way. Then He's the one that comes to be able to be making you into a tree that is going to be planted by the water. So you will have water to drink. And you are going to be able to spread out your roots, which means eventually you come into that place of the shalom. So you see, the anxiousness is always when we're striving. And so you know what? So many of us have bumped our heads so many times because we're striving in our own flesh to be able to make things work. And the time has come now, and the time is ahead of us right now, when He wants us to come to the end of our own striving. Because you know what? We're going to strive in vain one of these days, because one of these days it's all going to be nothing anyway. It's all going to be going for nothing. And so it's better to come to the place of saying, Father, you alone are the one that I trust. And so if the Father says, now you need to be able to walk away from this, but you see, many times we don't know how to do that because it doesn't make sense in our mind, because we still want a backup plan. And that's not the way the Father always works, with a backup plan. Father expects us to trust Him. And then we start to yield fruit. You see, because the tree that yields fruit, you see, what does the Father want from all of us? The Father wants fruit. You see, we're supposed to be trees that are bearing fruit. And so the only way to bear fruit is through the many trials and the many tests that we go through, because He's forever pruning. And so He wants us to get to the place of bearing that fruit. But for us to be a tree that bears fruit, we have to be pruned, and we're going to have to go through many trials and many tests. And so that's why he says the heart is crooked above all and desperately sick. Who shall know it? So what is the heart? The heart is the lev. It's H3A2O. It's lev. And what does that mean? That means the inner man. It means the mind. It means the will. It means the seat of emotions. It means the passions. It means the soul. It means the understanding. It means the determination, the inclination. The heart is the moral character. So you see, the moral character needs to bear fruit. You see, Father isn't interested in all the works that you offer him. Father isn't interested in we offer him all these good works. Now, Father is interested in that moral character within the person to see what is your mind thinking, what is your will wanting, what is all of this that you think about, what is the deep desire within you. Do you really desire the Father above everything, or do you still desire his face? Do you desire his face, or do you desire his hand? Do you desire that which he must give you, or do you desire his face above everything? Do you desire that he's to be able to make you become one of those people that are to be set apart for him, because you desire to be with him and in his presence constantly? What is it that's there? Because he says, and he says the heart is sick, desperately sick. And who knows it? So see, we cannot hide the inner thoughts of the heart, because he says, I, Yahuwah, search the heart. I tried the kidneys. So what is the kidneys? The kidneys is kilya. It's H3629. It's kilya. It's the seat of emotions and the affections. It's the secret thoughts of a human inner self. So it's the secret thoughts of that inner man, of that inner self. That thoughts that the Father sees you having. What is your desire is, are you desiring to acquire all of this because of he sees the secret thoughts that is within you? Or is your desire really for him? Is your desire really for him and his presence? Or is your desire for that which he must do for you? What is it? So he says, I try the kidneys, and I give to each man according to his own ways. So you see, he is going to give to each one according to our own ways, because he sees the way of man is wicked. Because his mind, his will, his emotions is wicked. And that is what is so sad, because we are now like it was in the days of Noah. And what did it say in the days of Noah? It says, the thoughts and the intents of the heart of man was wicked all day continually. They had wicked thoughts, and their ways were wicked. As a partridge, the broods, but does not hatch. That broods. So as a partridge that broods, but does not hatch, so is he who gets riches, but not by right. You see, so what is he talking here? You see, many people are just seeking the Father to be able to obtain the riches on this earth because they want to be able to have this wonderful, lush life. But it's not about him. But not by right. So many people go about many deceitful things to obtain the riches. And they bring deceitful ways in order to obtain riches. And that's not what the Father wants. So he says, not by right. It leaves him in the midst of his days. And at his end, he is a fool. So you see, the one who's going to pursue to be on this earth to make riches, he is a fool. Because if you seek first the kingdom of Yahuwah and his righteousness, his ways, his commands, his Torah ways, then all these things that you need is going to be added unto you. So you need to decide, what are you seeking? Are you seeking the Father's ways in how he's supposed to be wanting to be served, in what he wants you to, how he wants you to walk, or what are you searching? What are you searching for? Or you wanting the Father because he must be there to be able to provide for all your needs and all your little prayers and all the little things that you ask him for? Or is really your desire to be able to be what? Listen to see what he says in verse 12. An esteemed throne exalted from the beginning. It is the place of our set-apart place. So you see, Father is wanting a set-apart place. Father's wanting us to be set apart. O Yahuwah, the expectation of Israel, all who forsook you are put to shame. So you see, in the end, our hearts will be exposed for what they are, and we will be exposed. So if we are trying to obtain riches through deceitful ways, it will be exposed for what it is, and it will all be put to shame. Those who depart from me shall be written in the earth, because they have forsaken Yahuwah, the fountain of living waters. So you see, at the end of the day, when Father is sitting and he's exposing all of this, he is showing that, you see, man is wicked above all things, because the intents of his heart, his kidneys, which is again the inner thoughts and the emotions and the affections, so the kilya, which is the kidneys, the lev, which is the heart, he's saying he's wicked, because you think, because you worship me with your lips and you do all these little good things for me, you think you impress me. You don't impress me at all, because I look at your inner man. I look at your inner thoughts. I look at what's your real desire. Do you really serve me because you want to know me? Or do you serve me because you have need of me for what I must do for you? What is your real reason for serving me? And Yah is the true cry of the prophet. Heal me, O Yahuwah, so that I am healed. Save me, so that I am saved, for you are my praise. You see, is the Father your only praise? Is he the only one that you are willing to praise? Who are you willing to praise? Who do you praise? Do you praise the work of your hands, or do you praise the Father? And so this, may it be the cry of our heart. Heal me, O Yahuwah, so that I am healed. Save me, so that I am saved, for you are my praise. So do you want his salvation so that you are his praise? That he is the only praise that you're going to have. See, they say to me, where is the word Yahuwah? Where is the word of Yahuwah? Let it come now. So you see, the prophets speak, and then the prophets speak, and then people want things to happen straight away. And this is now what's happening. Jeremiah has been telling them, this is the destruction that is coming. And now see what they say. See, they say to me, where is the word of Yahuwah? Let it come now. And I have not run away from being a shepherd who follows you, nor have I longed for the desperate sick day. You yourself have known that which came out of my lips was before you. So you see, here's the cry of the prophet now to say, you see, Father, look now, they are coming on against me now, but you know, Father, that I don't long for the sick day. I don't long for this. The same as sometimes when people listen to me, they must think, she truly just desires this destruction that needs to come, because my friends many times would say, oh, that's all you know how to preach, Natalia. Destruction is coming. Destruction is coming. It's like you desire this. No. It's this urgency that is there, that you understand these things, but understand you don't long for this. You know that this is going to be destruction. Do not be a ruin to me. You are my shelter in the day of evil. So you see, now Jeremiah is becoming very weak because he's getting a bit of persecution, you understand. So now he's saying, oh, Father, you know what, you told me to speak all these things, and now you told me to speak all these things, and then say now, imagine it doesn't happen the way you said. And now he says, do not be a ruin to me. You are my shelter in the day of evil. So even when the day of evil comes, who will be our shelter? Only he will. Let these who persecute me be put to shame, but do not let me be put to shame. And let them be broken, but do not let me be broken. Bring on them the day of evil and destroy them with double destruction. You see, now he is upset because now he's getting persecution. So now he is upset. And he's saying, well, then you bring destruction on them. Thus said Yahuwah to me, go and stand in the gate of the children of the people, by which the sovereigns of Yehudah come in, and by which they go out, and in all the gates of Jerusalem. They see, normally it's at the gate when judgment gets unleashed. It's at the gate. That's why the judges sat where? At the gates of the city. And you shall say to them, hear the word of Yahuwah, you sovereigns of Yehudah, and all Yehudah and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem who enter by these gates. Thus said Yahuwah, guard yourselves and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem, nor take a burden out of your houses on the Sabbath day, nor do any work. And you shall set apart the Sabbath day as I commanded your fathers. But they did not obey or incline their ear, and they made their neck stiff, not to hear and not to receive instruction. Now, when you have a look at that word burden, that is the word for massa. It's for a load, it's lifting, it's carrying, or lift, or bear, or carry, or take, lift up, or lift oneself up. So you see, even to lift oneself up, so at the end of the day, on the Sabbath, we are not to lift ourselves up in the sense of where it's about me, myself, and I, and what I want, and my job, and my thing. It's about Him. You are not to bring a burden through the gates of the city. You are not to do any work in it. You are not to bring this load. You are not to bring up lifting or carrying to lift. To carry, to take, lift up, to lift oneself up. So really, this is not a day about myself. This is a day about Yahuwah. This is all about Him. It's His day. It's a day that we set apart for Him. It's about Him. And now, if we have a look, and we go have a look at Exodus chapter 31, we're just going to quickly have a look at Exodus chapter 31. In Exodus chapter 31, sorry, now I lost my place over here. Exodus chapter 31 from verses 12 to 17, and it says, And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, And you speak to the children of Israel, saying, My Sabbaths you are to guard by all means, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations to know that I am Yahuwah. I am setting you apart. So understand, the Sabbath is not something that we play with. The Sabbath is to be set apart to the Father, because He says it is a sign between me and you. So we must understand the Sabbath is the very first sign. It is the sign. It is the sign. And you shall guard the Sabbath, for it is set apart to you. Everyone who profanes it shall certainly be put to death. For anyone who does work on it, that being shall be cut off among his people. 6 days' work is done, and on the 7th is a Sabbath of rest. Set apart to Yahuwah, everyone doing work on the Sabbath day shall certainly be put to death. And the children of Israel shall guard the Sabbath to perform the Sabbath throughout their generations as an everlasting covenant. So understand, this is the covenant between me and the children of Israel. It is a sign forever. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heavens and the earth, and on the 7th day He rested and was refreshed. But now we will decide that we will even change the Sabbath and bring the Sabbath to the day that we want to bring it. So we go now quickly read. This was another scripture that the Father gave me in Ezekiel. Let's go read Ezekiel chapter 20 from verses 13 to 21. But the house of Israel rebelled against me. Now I want you to understand, this is what they did in the wilderness, and this is Ezekiel, and Ezekiel is speaking the same thing as Jeremiah. Jeremiah is now rebuking the people, but he's telling them, this is what you have not done. But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They did not walk in my laws. They rejected my right rulings, which if a man does, he shall live by them. And they greatly profaned my Sabbaths. Then I said I would pour out my wrath on them in the wilderness to consume them. But I acted for my name's sake. So you see, he told them he was going to pour out his wrath for them, but he acted for his name's sake. not to profane. We are in Ezekiel chapter 20, verses 13. Now in verse 14. But I acted for my name's sake, not to profane it before the nations, before whose eyes I have brought them out. And I myself also lift my hand in an oath to them in the wilderness, not to bring them into the land which I had given them, flowing with milk and honey, the splendor of my lands. So I say to you today, if the people do not want to return back to keeping the Father's Sabbaths, if they're not wanting to be able to keep his Sabbaths, then they must understand that they will stay in the parched land, they will stay in the wilderness, they will not enter the promise, and they will not have Abba Yahuwah's protection, because this is the sign that he gave us. I myself also lifted my hand in an oath to them in the wilderness, not to bring them into the land which I had given them, flowing with milk and honey, the splendor of all lands, because they rejected my right rulings and did not walk in my laws. They profaned my Sabbaths, for their heart went after their idols. Is this not exactly what the people are doing today? They chase after their idolatrous ways. It's self that is on the throne, and we will not submit, and we will not surrender, and we will not keep the Father's ways. And my eye pardoned them from destroying them, and I did not make an end of them in the wilderness. And I said to their children in the wilderness, do not walk in the laws of your fathers, nor observe their rulings, nor defile yourselves with their idols. I am Yahuwah your Lua. Walk in my laws, guard my right rulings, and do them, and set apart my Sabbaths, and they shall be a sign between me and you, to know that I am Yahuwah your Lua. So what is the sign? It is the Sabbath. And what is Jeremiah speaking? He's saying, you have profaned my Sabbaths, and he's saying, if you will stop your burden on a Sabbath, and if you bring in no burden through the gates of the city on the Sabbath day, and set apart the Sabbath day to do no work in it, then the sovereigns and the heads sitting on the throne of David shall enter in through the gates of the city, riding in chariots, on horses, they and their heads, and the men of Yehudah, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the city shall be inhabited forever. And they shall come from the cities of Yehudah, and from the places around Jerusalem, and from the land of Benjamin, and from the low country, and from the mountains, and from the south, bringing ascending offerings and slaughterings, grain offerings and incense, bringing offerings of praise to the house of Yahuwah. See, this is what the Father wanted. But if you do not obey me, to set the Sabbath day, to set apart the Sabbath day. So how can you say that you are one of his set apart people? How can you even think that you're part of the bride and you are not doing this? But if you do not obey me to set apart the Sabbath day, and not to bear a burden when entering the gates of Jerusalem on the Sabbath day, then I shall kindle a fire in its gates, and it shall consume the places of Jerusalem, and not be quenched. Now we will end off with Amos chapter 9. Because this is what is coming. Amos chapter 9, verses 7 to 10, and it says, and are you not like the people of Cush to me, O children of Israel? Declares Yahuwah. Did I not bring up Israel from the land of Mitzrayim, and the Philistines from Kiftor, and Aram from Quir? Look, the eyes of the Master Yahuwah are on the sinful reign, and I shall destroy it from the face of the earth, except that I do not completely destroy the house of Yaakov, declares Yahuwah. For look, I am commanding, and I shall sift the house of Israel among all the nations, as one sifts with a sieve, yet not a grain falls to the ground. All the sinners of my people are going to die by the sword. Listen to what he says. All the sinners of my people, not the heathen. not the heathen, the sinners of my people. So if you are his people and you want to continue in your sinful way and go your own way and don't want to submit to him, listen to what he says. All the sinners of my people are going to die by the sword. Those who are saying evil does not overtake us nor meet us. Understand? This is end times. And in that day, I shall raise up the booth of David, which has fallen down, and I shall repair its breaches and raise up its ruins, and I shall build it as the days of old, so that they possess the remnant of Adam, and all the nations on whom my name is called, declares Yahuwah, who does this. So you see, all those on whose name he is called. So praise Abba Yahuwah. This is what we must understand when he says, all the sinners of my people. So you can be his people. Doesn't mean to say that you follow his ways. And all the sinners of his people, they are going to be able to die by the sword if they have not repented and turned back to the Father and to his ways. This is a very serious word tonight. So may Abba bless you all. Shalom, shalom. Have a blessed rest of the week.